From people having no money to now doctors coming out and stating that turbo cancers are pretty much happening because of all the things they put in us. Bombshell reports of Fauci and of the Wiener laptop and all this stuff, but no arrests have been made. Also, we hear that rumblings and sources show that Kash Patel and Bongino may be on their way out. They may be replaced. Is that good news or bad news? I mean, we wanted them because they were going to open and expose. All of a sudden, their hands were tied, and now we may see them be kicked out of this administration. But Bondi's still there. James Comer and Jim Jordan are still going to do all these investigations, and nothing will happen. No arrest will be made. We'll discuss a lot of those stories today. Also, what about this flesh-eating bacteria? What about the plague we were talking about with the ticks and fleas? All of a sudden, we're seeing both of those take place right now. The war on you is happening quicker than expected. Do not put your head in the sand. Today we're going to be talking about so many stories that deal with the craziest of the crazy, and every one of them are fact-checked true, and every one of them have no repercussions of actually finding the truth. When we find the truth, we tend to not do anything about it but just grandstand on it. I'm ready for arrest to happen. I'm ready for Trump to actually start doing something about these people. Because if we don't fix the problem will keep on happening. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now let's jump into the stories because there is some whoppers of them. And the ones that we want to talk about is what you were told, what you believed, and then all of a sudden what happened, and now we know the true answers, we know the truth, we know the exposure, we know the secrets, and then nothing's happening. We're actually firing the people that we were hoping to stay in charge. It's unbelievable. So let's just go through a few of these stories. This is actually from a doctor. I want you to listen to this. It says, Dr. Ben Marble, the entire blood supply in America and basically the whole world is contaminated with spike proteins as a poisoned bioweapon. We need to quit accepting the blood from people who accepted this poison. We're seeing these patients get blood transfusion, and all of a sudden that were not vaccinated are starting to get blood clots. Now, I want to tell you this. I want to be completely honest with you. Me and my wife discussed this just yesterday before I read this story last night. There's a person that we know had a child, had some problems and had some bleeding issues, bled out. All of a sudden now she had to get blood. All of a sudden this person now is developing blood clots everywhere, struggling. They're trying to figure out why she's septic. They're trying to figure out what's causing it. Complete coincidence could be. Things that just happen. But it's weird that this doctor's coming out and stated that our blood supply is so tainted because we wanted a big blood push, and all of a sudden when we realized that all these people had this spike protein that cannot get out of our blood system is now getting pumped into the people that quote unquote have to have blood. But what if we didn't want this blood? What if we didn't want this in our arm, and now all of a sudden if we have to have a transfusion, that's not been described to us as something that we have in this transfusion or not, and all of a sudden we get this spike protein that now is looked upon as what this doctor says is purely a bioweapon. It came out just the last few days that this is a complete and utter turbo cancer and a blood clotting agent. This here caused for major ramifications. I want you to listen to this, and this goes right into, again, why we are not arresting people. Because this doctor stated the obvious, and then all of a sudden Rand Paul comes out and says, I've already refiled the criminal referral of Dr. Fauci to President Trump's Department of Justice for lying to Congress. This is a reason that he deserves to be behind bars. Now, he should be behind bars for lying to Congress, but he should be behind bars for a lot of other reasons. But this man still has the highest pension retiree in our government. He retired at the very tip top, like 400-something thousand. He actually made more than President Trump and President Biden when he retired in office. Someone said, well, it's just, actually, he probably didn't mean to do the things he did. He's just not competent. So we had an incompetent guy leading our research to ultimately cause for major sicknesses across the world. Well, then he still should be arrested. There should be no way he's not arrested. Listen to this. This is from Daily Caller. It says, breaking, senior American intelligence officials broke protocol and concealed classified intelligence dealing with this and the 19, that it did come from the lab, that it was not given to the president and the public, and granted Fauci so many inner circle extraordinary influence that allowed for them to spy and do things that they wanted to do without oversight. Next story, this is from Laura Logan. It says the Clinton Foundation is about to be exposed for global trafficking because now they realize that there was exploitation, there was trafficking, and there was major problems that was not talked about that shows that they took advantage of people under 18. Clinton Foundation being exposed. The Wiener laptop would topple the Clintons and some of the most prominent officials, elites in the U.S. government itself. The Wiener laptop was found by the NYPD during the Anthony Weiner investigation, and they said if the truth came out, it would actually absolutely shut down the entire U.S. government. Now, we've heard that also with the Epstein situation. So what we're realizing is we're led by a bunch of criminals, and when we talk about exposing them, then basically there's probably some blackmail over those people, and then they get threats, and then all of a sudden nothing happens. I get so sick of Congress going and grandstanding and talking about all this stuff that's going to happen, including Rand Paul, including Thomas Massey, including Jim Jordan and James Comer, all these quote-unquote Freedom Caucus and conservatives. Every one of them will yap their freaking mouth about how they're going to heal and fix and arrest and make sure nothing like this happens again, and not one of these people are in jail. It was reported by the gentleman that was on Tucker Carlson, and I'll be honest with you, this guy was spewing some crazy stuff. I mean, again, go back. I think Tucker Carlson is doing a disservice to Republicans. I really do. I honestly do. But this is one thing he did say. He said that 9 of the officers that found that and dealt with that laptop with Weiner have all mysteriously died. That's normal. Rick Scott, senator from Florida, who's supposed to be a Freedom Caucus guy, strong American, conservative, made $26 million on some trades in the stock market in the last few weeks and months. Mullen, we talked about last week. Basically, what we're seeing is we're having a collusion of criminals lead us across both parties, and not any arrests are taking place. They lead us on as American people, say, oh, we're getting them, we're doing it. Zippo arrests have been done. Now, before we go to the next story dealing with Cash and Bongino and what's happening with them, a word from today's sponsor, Chapter. You know, we've been talking about Chapter lately because of the value of what it offers. When we talk about open enrollment, when we talk about part supplements and understanding, do we have the coverage we need? Do we have the coverage we need, especially as seniors? If you're 65 and older, these are the things you're thinking about right now. How to save money. You're going into retirement. You're trying to make sure you understand Medicare. And everybody has an opinion, but all those opinions may not benefit you. They may benefit them. There's nothing wrong with opinions. But that's why Chapter is important. Chapter, call this number below or check with the link in the description. This company will come alongside you for free, F-R-E-E, $0. And they're an advisor for you. Their goal is to help you optimize your program in the best situation and plan for you. The average American who uses Chapter saves $1,100. $1,100. So say, for instance, you save $500, $800, $1,200, $1,500. It doesn't matter. It's saving money, and it costs you nothing. Check with Chapter below. If you're 65 and older and you think, you know what, I don't know if I'm on the right plan. I don't know how to navigate this. They come alongside. They know all the plans. They know what's best for you and how it can help you, your doctor, your hospital, and making sure you save money while you're doing it. Medicare is already hard to deal with. Government's hard to deal with. Let Chapter help you. Check with them. Call the number below, and I promise you, when you make that 15 or 20-minute phone call, it'll save you a lot of money. Call them today. Now, there's a story that came out last week that Deputy Director, which was Dan Bongino, you know, he's had some ruffles. There's been some ruffles with Bondi. Bondi must have the Trump administration just by the neck because for some reason she's not done anything, as in high profile. Now, she may be arresting people and ICE may be doing great things. There may be people getting arrested, but when it comes to high profile things that we should have transparency on, that we should understand, nothing's been done. Zippo. But guess what? News story breaks that last week that they hired a co-deputy director of FBI. Now, Dan Bongino was like, welcome, we're glad to have you part of the family. What this is, I believe, and I told you this a few months ago. If you go back to some of my videos, I promise you, when you hear these sources, it rings true. There was word that Dan Bongino was going to be out in the next 2 or 3 months, and there was word that by midterms, Cash would be out. Now, that was just a few months ago. Now, all of a sudden, there's a new co-deputy director that's tied to Dan Bongino. Now listen to this. This is a new story that just broke, and this is actually from Cal Serafin, and a few more broke. It says sources show that Kash Patel will be replaced as FBI director. The whistleblower alleged that Attorney General Andrew Bailey is being lined up and taking over the role. It said this would mark one of the most dramatic shakeups in FBI history. That was from multiple sources, but then Kyle Stefan, that actually works alongside Alex Jones, said Trump administration is preparing to sack Kash Patel and replace him with Andrew Bailey, according to a whistleblower. I'll be honest with you. I'm to a point now where I don't even trust anybody anymore because nothing's happened. I think of Elon and exposing all this money and how we should have taken this corruption out, and nobody's done anything. The rest are not done by Bondi. I think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are honest, good people. However, they've just kind of had their hands tied too. Do you think this other guy's going to do anything? I doubt it. I mean, I really do doubt it because I believe the deep state is just too big. What did I just tell you about the Clinton Foundation, the Winter laptop, the Epstein files, and then all of a sudden we start talking about, I mean, look at Diddy got out, Ghislaine Maxwell, she probably will get pardoned. What is, it's just corruption. And I hate to make this video so ranty, but then all of a sudden, the Republican, some of these senators and congressmen who voted against the insider trading thing are now making multiple millions. Multiple millions. There's a new study that came out that said that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and not only paycheck to paycheck, they don't even have enough to buy groceries, and most do not even have $1,000 cash in an emergency fund of any sort. Paycheck to paycheck, living off debt, and not having $1,000 to their name. While your congressmen are multimillionaires, your senators are multimillionaires, and they're all getting it from insider trading that you couldn't have. But you would say, well, hey, it's okay, they can make a lot of money, but at least they're arresting people. At least they're helping us out with taxes. Well, they're not. They're costing you more because they're spending more money, so inflation's going up, interest is not going down, and taxes are still high. You still got property tax, still got income tax, still got sales tax. And then on top of that, they're getting filthy rich, but then no arrests are being made either. This is what I'm talking about, people. I'm so sick of the politics. I'm so sick of the left versus right. I keep saying this because it's true. This is just a good versus evil. And that's probably why I'm censored, because what I'm trying to say is there is no one looking out for you. That's why you have to make sure that you are doing all you can for you and your family and have that independence, because when you say, well, they're going to take care of us, no one's taking care of you. No one. I laughed yesterday. There was a lady said that, well, since Trump and them are canceling solar and wind, it's going to make our energy bill go up. Well, I'll be honest with you. All the investment we've made in green energy the last 4 years, did your energy bill go down? Mine didn't. It was supposed to save us tons of money going solar and wind, and my energy bill went up every year. Still up. Well, gas and oil is supposed to be cheap, so you'd think it'd go down. Still up. I'm not getting cuts anywhere from either administration. I'm not talking bad about Trump. I'm not talking bad about the Republicans. What I'm trying to say is no one's really helped us. We're in debt up to our eyeballs, and Americans can't even save $1,000 while your Congress and Senate are making filthy millions because they know information that you don't know. Unbelievable. So now we have spike proteins that are causing us sickness, and it's basically bioweapons, what the doctor says. We have 60% of Americans that can't even raise $1,000. And now all of a sudden, we have to deal with two other things. We have states are warning that beachgoers are getting a summertime surge of infections that are literally flesh-eating bacteria that's allowing people not to enjoy the beach. And it's worried that it's causing major problems for Americans. So that's something we got to worry about. That's always fun to worry about flesh-eating bacteria. Isn't it amazing how flesh-eating bacteria and the problems with flies that were happening in Mexico dealing with the animals, but now we're seeing it here dealing with the water. Is that not just strange? What do you think that is? What about this one? Person tests positive now for the plague after being bit and infected with fleas. Now remember, 3 days ago I made mention that the Lone Star tick and the fleas they were wondering, Michigan did a study, and academia did a study, how they could utilize you getting off of meat by maybe having a plague that causes problems. They did a study on this. This same study was the same people that were tied to all these new innovative ways of making meat. So we have flesh-eating problems with humans now that was just a meat problem, if you remember, with Mexico. That's why we closed down the border of getting beef in, caused our meat to skyrocket. Now we have the plague that's actually coming from fleas and ticks that we were worried about on our animals, and academia did a major study on to tell you this could actually happen, and now it's happening to humans. The food system's broke. We're broke. We've got now a bioweapon inside our system because we're getting transfusions and the blood is not clean. All the while, zero rest, zero exposures. Secrets are being out and nobody's going to jail for it. One day you're going to realize that we're not telling you something that you probably don't even know. And to be honest with you, I think what we should all realize is evilness is running amok in America and around the world. It's time for revival. It's time for reawakening. Do I believe that one or two men can do that? Do I believe Trump and Vance or Elon or any of those can do it by themselves? No. Honestly, it's going to take a supernatural God movement, revival to start in the states, in the cities, to change this America way. We have corruption of amount that we can't even fathom. I mean, there was a story done that USAID, since the defunding a lot of that again, Congress is still trying to fund, by the way, but even the Republicans, but since Trump has cut that funding, Democrats are broke. The DNC has $13 million to their name when they typically have about $100 million to their name. You know why? Because they realized that a lot of the USAID funds that were going to these quote-unquote NGOs and going to all these places were actually funneling back into the Democratic Party. So your tax dollars was going to hopefully help American, but what it was actually doing was funneling back into the Democratic Party for them to do the things they were doing. There was a California Democrat that came out last week, a Democrat now, on an open mic said, if we don't get these immigrants counted on the census, then the Democrats will lose handily all over battleground states because we need them in the census to keep our numbers up. Corruption, guys. It's all corruption. It's all corruption. I'm going to make mention of one more story. And this has nothing to do with what we've been talking about today, but it has to do with everything we've been talking about the last few days. Someone in the State Department just gave access to a terrorist from Ramallah, an open, convicted terror. His name is Omar Asif. They just gave him a visa. The State Department just gave him a visa for a Palestinian youth movement that will be held in Detroit, Michigan. Asaf praised the Hamas massacre on October 7th and vowed to build upon the achievements to add to more slaughter. The State Department just gave him a pass to come in, a visa, to come in and speak to the youth, to radicalize them in the Dearborn, Detroit areas. We are led by fools and idiocracy. Honestly, people, get your crap together. Get your house in order, because if you're looking for the government to fix all your problems, they're going to cause you more problems, just like we talked about in this video, and that makes you more dependent on them. Please don't be that person. You can tell me I'm crazy, I'm a conspiracy guy, and all this stuff. Just look at the stories. Do your research on all these, because then you're going to start realizing, well, dang, they talked about the plague, they talked about the flu, they talked about academia, they talked about all the spike proteins, they talked about all this stuff, and then all of a sudden this stuff started happening. Well, we talked about exposing all this. Pam Bondi was going to arrest all these people, high profile. It is the charge by Trump and all. No one's been arrested. All these things are supposedly going to shut down our government for the corruption and the dangers of it, and yet the evil still runs around doing what it wants. It reminds me of scripture where it says, you know, the devil will basically go around seeking whom to devour like a roaring lion. It's time to get your house in order. It's crazy times, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. It's not meant to rant. It's not meant to make you down. It's meant to say, wake up. Wake up. I have a shirt in my store called Awake, Not Woke. And until we awake and see what's in front of us, we will never prepare and be ready for something to sound off. Let me know your thoughts. God bless.